You know the little funny sayings online about how ripe your avocado gets if you turn your back for 5 seconds? I think that's what happened to mine. So let's talk about avocados, and then I'm going to cut some up, share a little history, a little basics with you, and this will be my snack for this afternoon. Hi, I'm Elise. I'm glad you stopped by. I'm in Zone 9B. I didn't grow the avocados. They came from the grocery store. They're just little Hass avocados, which is basically all we can get in our area. But there's over 500 varieties of avocados. So if you're lucky enough to live in an area where you can find all these different varieties, that's fantastic. And they range anywhere from 6 to 8 ounces up to over 3 pounds. Avocado, also called alligator pear because of this really rough texture on the skin. The Aztecs actually were the first ones to start cultivating avocados. And it was a long time ago, about 500 BC. They had a really neat word for avocados, and phonetically it is avocado. And my apologies if I have mispronounced that. Literally translated into testicles, because of the two avocados, when they're hanging in droops, I guess reminded the indigenous people of testicles. And they were called that for a long time and still called that in various parts of the country. It is native to North America, but it has a long history of cultivation in Central and South America. Really good. And we know how nutritious it is for you. It's a wonderful, wonderful fruit. Very easy on you to eat. Very easy to digest. Has some great oils in it for us. So let's cut one open. Now, you can cut it around, or you can cut it on the horizontal, on the vertical. So that's what I usually do. And you can feel the seed on the inside. Let's go around, give it a little wiggle, and it will pop open for you. Now these look just about the perfect ripeness for me. I don't like a really green, firm one, but I don't like for it to start turning brown. And don't worry about that brown. When your avocado flesh starts turning brown, that's an enzyme that comes to the top of the surface. It's just like our little enzymes in our body. And you can take the seed out with a spoon, with a fork, a knife, your hands, whatever you would like to do. Cut one more here. Avocados really came into vogue a couple of decades ago because of their healthy heart fat. Isn't that pretty? And look how pretty that seed is. Pop it out. Now, many ways to eat this. I personally like mine just like this. I'll sprinkle a little raw sugar on the top, sit here with a spoon, and just eat it out of the shell. My mom used to put salt and pepper on hers. Some people like vinegar or lemon juice. And that citric acid will also help to stop your flesh from turning brown. You can eat that brown flesh. It's not going to hurt the taste. Of course, you don't want to eat it after it's been sitting out for a long time, but when it's fresh, it's completely edible. They're really actually low in calories considering all the bad rep they got for a long time. And they're high in C, E, K, B6, some omega-3 fatty acid, pantothenic acid, magnesium, potassium. A really good item to add to any good dietary program. Good for your heart, good for your vision, osteoporosis. And if you do a little research on all the medicinal properties of this great plant, you'll just find pages after pages after pages. Edible? Hey, put it in salads, put it in your shakes, put it in your stir fries. There was a thing going around for a while. You put it on top of your cheeseburgers, put it on your toast, but I like mine plain. Now, earliest known account of the avocado in Europe was about 1519. And then the avocado kind of bounced back around and back around across the big pond, as they call it. Something I think is really interesting. The paleobotanists believe that avocados, like mangoes and some other big fruit, co-evolved with the huge megafauna animals back in the Pleistocene era. And they would have been a lot bigger back then. And the idea was these huge animals would come up, swallow down the avocados. It would go through their digestive system, and then the animal would excrete the seed with its dung, and plop, here you have a seed in its own little fresh pile of compost. As the megafauna animals died off, then humans replaced those animals as a way to spread the seeds around. And I think at that time, from what I read in one article, the avocados started getting a little smaller. But if you've got a 3 or 4 pound avocado, that is really, really good. I was talking to a gentleman the other day who said their avocados, they got one that was almost 4 pounds. He said he had never eaten so much guacamole, and in fact he was really kind of tired of it. And guacamole is one of those famous dishes for avocados. You can grow this anywhere that it's warm enough to support it. It is kind of classed as a tropical, subtropical plant, but if you live in a cooler area, don't worry about that. They make dwarf varieties, and you can put that in a container and overwinter it. In fact, there's people who grow avocados in their house. They do like sun, and they do like water. And baby avocado seedlings and plants, if you have them outside, need a little protection if you have really, really hot sun. Now, let's talk about propagation. You can try cuttings, you can do air layering, and you can certainly do grafting. Lots of people grow the avocado from the seed. A couple of things about the seed. Avocado seeds are recalcitrant, which is just a big word to say they don't hold their viability a very long time. So you want to use your avocado seed just as soon as you take it out of the avocado itself, or just as fast as you possibly can. It will take anywhere from 4 to 6 years from seed to bear avocados, depending upon the variety. But it is a really pretty seed. You don't have to stratify it. You don't have to scarify it or scarify it. You don't do anything with it. You plant it right away. Now, I want to show you something. I had some seeds the other day that kind of got pushed back on my counter. And this is what they look like after they dry up. This is what you do not want to have. I'm going to go ahead and plant this anyway, just in case there's still enough moisture in the interior, in the embryo, for it to go ahead and germinate. It's not going to hurt. I'll just stick them both in the same pot. That's all. Another thing about the seed, or the seedling itself. Now, lots of folks fuss, well, don't bother planting that seed. It's not going to come true. And coming true from seed just simply means it's not going to be an exact copy of the parent plant. Well, which is okay, you know, it could be better. It could be equal, and yes, it could be a little worse. But it's still a homegrown avocado that you grew yourself and you know what chemicals have been used on it. If you don't like the taste or something about the avocado, you still have a really healthy seedling that you can graft onto. My personal opinion, and from what I've always been taught and talked to old timers about it, any fruit tree that is grown from a seed and makes a seedling, that seedling's going to be tougher than a grafted tree. It's going to have the possibility of being tougher, of being able to resist disease and viruses a little bit more than a grafted tree. I don't have lots of data to support that, although Dr. Campbell at the University of Florida's Agricultural Division, he did remark on citrus trees that citrus seedlings were stronger and could resist viruses better than the grafted tree. Just something to think about. So, several ways to plant the seed. Oh, well, let me step back just a little bit while we're still talking about coming true to seed. Okay, these seeds can be monoembryonic, one embryo, or they can be polyembryonic, more than one embryo. If they're more than one embryo, there's almost 100% chance that your seedling will come true to the mother plant. And what happens is when you plant this seed, you're going to get two separate stems, two separate root systems. It's really neat to watch them grow. One time I had 3 come up from one stem, or from one seed. Now, then it's up to you. You can let it grow like that, or you can cut a couple of the smaller ones off and just leave the strongest stem, or you can wait and let nature take care of it for you. Some of them might die back on their own, leaving the strongest one, or all of them might grow up. Polyembryonic seeds, you have a good chance of having it come true. Okay. Now, how do we plant the seed? If you go online and look, you're going to find numerous ways to plant the seed. You'll see the toothpick method where you put the toothpicks around, you put it in a glass of water, the roots come out, the stem goes up. I plant mine in the soil. I planted them in containers. Now, in the past, I have planted them out in the soil, and you can certainly do it right into the garden. And then you don't have to move your plant if you know where you want to put it. Now, these can get kind of large, and they can live 100 years or more. Make sure you pick your location very well. All you have to do is wash your seed off. You want to get all of the flesh off. And then put it in a container or plant it in the ground or do the toothpick method. I have never been successful with just floating it in water. I've never been successful in doing the wet paper towel method. That's me. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It might work for you. It might work for lots of people. But for me, I plant it in a container. We'll plant some out. Okay, back to the good stuff here. Edible, nutritional, medicinal, and even has some ornamental properties because it makes a beautiful tree even when it's not fruiting, and it has some utilitarian purposes. Like you can use avocado in some beauty regimens for exfoliation and hair rinses and things like that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and scoop a little of this out because I want to show you something. You see this dark green? That is some of the most nutritional part of the avocado. So when you scoop your avocado out, try to make sure you get all of that dark green flesh. And I'm just taking a big spoon and going around, filling my way around. I did pretty good. Still a little bit in there, but not bad. So now I can take this, I can cut it in slices, and you have perfect little slices to put on your salads, put on top of your sandwiches, on your toast, whatever you want. But for me, I just sprinkle a little sugar on the top, and then I'll sit here with a spoon and eat it right out of the shell. Speaking of the shell, this is an extremely nutritional product. Don't throw it away. In fact, there's nothing on the avocado that you can have to throw away except maybe the little stem. This is edible. Maybe not the best tasting thing in the world. And it's a little rough and it's a little tough. But from what I have read, there's a very large movement right now for people to eat the shell. Different ways to dry it, different ways to process it. You can put it in with your smoothies after it's been crushed. Things like that to make it a little more palatable. You can make tea with it. Dry it and make tea. Again, don't throw anything away from your avocado. Another thing which I often do, and I will be doing here since I have 3 avocados I am going to go ahead and cut up, I will save the shells. I'm going to wash them off a little bit and just lay them out. Within a day or two, I don't particularly want them to get really dry and hard. If they do, that's okay. I'm going to make a biomass green fertilizer with this, a green tea fertilizer. You soak your avocado peels just like when you're making banana peel tea or any food-based tea to go out in your garden. It's wonderful. All of the nutrition breaks down. It leaches out into the water. You feed your plants, and what you can use it as a foliar spray, but what I do is I put it around the base of the plant. Now, it's a little slower acting than some of the chemical fertilizers that you can buy, which is all synthetic stuff, or it can have some real chemicals in it, and what they do is they give a real boost to your plant, but they do nothing to enrich your soil, and in fact, some of them can help deplete your soil. If you use green biomass fertilizers or teas that you make out of grasses, out of weeds, out of chop and drop, out of food products, and you return that to the soil, then you're going to build up your soil. You're going to help enrich your soil. It's good for the earthworms. It's good for all the other little microbes, beneficial microbes in there, and your soil will get better and better and better. Fantastic way to use up your avocado peels. We'll talk about that later. Oh, one more thing here. Let's talk about the avocado tree itself. Did you know that you can use the leaves from your avocado tree to make herbal teas? Very nutritious. You can use the leaves in stir fry, in salads. You can eat the leaves. You can use them for medicinal purposes. Isn't that fantastic? Now, you can also use the leaves for chop and drop, for mulch. They break down a little slow. They feed the soil. So, nothing on this plant, nothing on this tree that you have to overlook. Even after you make your green tea with this, you can compost it, earth compost it. And what nutrients is left will go ahead and break down. Absolutely nothing has to go into your garbage can to go into a landfill somewhere. What else could you ask from a plant? You get a wonderful food, you get shade, you get nesting, habitat places for the animals. It's utilitarian, it's ornamental. Hey, it's edible, it's medicinal, and it tastes great, and it's really good for you. All right, I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll go plant some seeds. Well, it's time to go ahead and plant the avocado seeds. Come join me. Look at these pretty, pretty avocado seeds. Isn't that nice? I love that wood grain on there. These are the 3 seeds from the avocados I had. I haven't done anything to these 3 seeds. I haven't prepped them in any way other than making sure they were washed very well. All the avocado flesh was off of them. You want nice, clean seeds. I did not soak these 3 seeds. I didn't put them in the refrigerator. I didn't chill them. I didn't nick them. I didn't do anything. And I'm going to plant these directly in pots. Now you can put them in containers or you can plant them in the ground. That's up to you. You can also use the toothpick method where you just go around and you put about 3 toothpicks into the seed itself. Don't go all the way into the embryo, but just enough to hold the seed. Then you put them in a container of water so that the water is about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way up. Set them in a bright indirect light and where it's warm, and pretty soon you'll have some little roots and stems popping up. Alright, I'm putting mine in containers and they will be outside. I have some nice well-draining potting soil. It is pre-moistened. And all I did was I made a little depression and I'm going to put my avocado in. Your avocado normally will have a flatter base and then a more pointed or conical top. You want to put that flat base down. If you can't really tell, don't worry about it. Lay it on its side. Most seeds, not all, but most seeds are geotropic, which means they will orientate the stem and the root in the proper direction. Now, I don't mean this whole seed's going to all of a sudden stand up. I just mean that when this cracks open and the stem starts coming out, it will orientate itself up and the root will go down. So don't worry about that. All right, I'm just going to drop those down. You want them deep enough, 1 inch or 2 at least, so that they are completely covered with soil. If you get a rain event, if you've got them outside, if you get a rain event or you water too hard and some of the soil gets brushed off or compacted and the top of your avocado seed starts showing, you want to cover it up a little more. You never want the seed to show. That will help it to dry out faster. Plus, if you grow them outside like I do, and we have critters around, it's just an open invitation. Say, oh, here's a fresh seed, come and get me. So I don't let them show. All right. Another little thing that I do with just about all my seeds is I will go ahead and place the seed in the container in the location that I want it to be in. I don't cover it up yet. All right, so these are placed. I have my labels in. Now, the reason I do this is, what if I want to come back and maybe I'm short on pots, short on soil, and I decide I want to put 2 seeds in 1 pot. Then I can scoot that one over there, make a hole for that one, make a hole for that one, fill that hole in, and it's done. Plus, sometimes, especially if you're doing quite a few seeds at one time, if I don't label them as I go, or if I am not really careful, I can forget which pot has what seed in it if I cover it up first. So this way I don't cover it up till I'm completely finished. And I know for sure that I only want 1 in here. I have a label. I only want 1 in here. Snug it in. I have a label. And 1 in here. And I have the label. And you'll notice on lots of my labels, not only do I have a name, but I have a number. That tells me there's only one seed in this pot. Because when I'm using bigger pots, like a gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallon pots, and seeds like this, I may go ahead and put several seeds in one pot. So I'll put 3. Let me see here. This is the little mini avocado, and I had 6 seeds in this one great big 2 gallon pot. I won't show you these. These were the little desiccated, dried up seeds that I had misplaced on my counter. Well, I soaked them a little bit, and they did hydrate some. So I'm planting them. Now I'm putting 2 in each in one pot for a couple of reasons. I want to monitor them. Plus, I'm a little short on pots and a little short on soil. Actually, I would prefer to put these seeds in the beginning in at least a gallon, if not a 2 gallon size pot. That way I don't have to transplant as often. Avocados really aren't fond of being transplanted. They have a long taproot and they don't like that disturbed. And on this label I did put that these were the dried ones. So that's my basic avocado plants. Again, plant them in a container, plant them in the ground. Absolutely up to you. Do the toothpick method, up to you. So these are ready to go. I will put them out. I'm going to put them someplace really warm. I have a couple of things I want to show you here. And you'll quite often get asked, well, how long does it take for the seed to germinate? This is a little over a foot tall seedling, and it's 6 weeks old from seed. Very healthy, beautiful foliage, nice thick stem. This is ready to transplant out. This particular pot had 3 seeds in it. All 3 germinated. See if I can get down here and show you this. The avocado seed will split open. The stem comes up, the root goes down. Now, when I am transplanting these plants, I will not take that seed off. If it falls off by itself, that's one thing, but I'm not going to pull it off. I'm going to leave it. This seed can still provide some nutrition, can still hold some moisture. So I will be transplanting these, hopefully today, if not by tomorrow. Nice, really pretty seedlings, healthy. And see a little bit of a bronze color? Sometimes that is really bronze, but don't worry about it. That's new growth, and that's what you want to see. So these will be transplanted. We set these out of the way because I want to show you something really neat. Okay, I talked about avocado seeds being recalcitrant, which just means they don't hold their viability a long time. They don't do well to be completely dried out. One of the ways you can tell if your seed is completely dried out is if you shake it, you'll be able to hear the embryo shaking inside. Still go ahead and plant it. It's not going to hurt. Your chances are kind of low, but I've seen Mother Nature do some great things when it comes to seeds. Also, you'll hear this, well, don't bother planting it. It won't come true to seed. It might not, but who cares? It might be better. It might be a completely different variety. And there's things that you can do if you don't like the avocado. Seedlings are usually stronger and healthier and have a propensity to not get as many diseases and viruses as grafted plants. I didn't make that up. I read it. Dr. Campbell at the University of Florida's Agricultural Division, it was an article that he had contributed some information to. But I know from personal experience, little seedlings are strong. So this is a pot of the little mini avocados. You know, those little bitty mini avocados. I really didn't even think that they would germinate. It did take twice as long as the regular size Hass avocado. There are 6 seeds in here. Only 2 have germinated. Now, that one is still firm, so there is a root connecting it. I'm not going to try to pull it up. Now this little one, look how small that is. It's still hard. Nope, no, there's a soft spot. So this one's not going to work. It's rotten. It's just coming all apart now. But I can still stick it back in there, just for the sake of it. Maybe, you know, you never know. But what I wanted to show you, referring back to this, it won't come true to seed, there's a way to get around that. These seeds can be monoembryonic, like this one, which means that one seed is just going to put out one stem from one embryo, and it will have one root. But you can also have polyembryonic seeds, like this one. And you've got 2 stems coming out of the same seed. And if I were to dig this up, there would be 2 root systems. Now on avocados, I have seen them have up to 4 embryos in one seed, 4 stems, 4 sets of roots. So why do we want polyembryonic? Well, because polyembryonic will come true to seed. Isn't that neat? So every time I plant out seeds, I cross my fingers and tell it to go ahead and be a polyembryonic. That's fine with me. Now, I'm not going to transplant these yet. I'm going to give them a little time to get a little bigger. It's up to you on a polyembryonic seed. If you want to keep the whole both of them or all 3 of them, however many comes up, or you can very carefully trim the smallest stem off so that all of the energy is focused on to one stem. Up to you. Or you can let Mother Nature take care of it, and one of them may die back anyway. Or you can let it go and produce a plant that has 2, 3 stems coming up. Isn't that neat? That is so neat, isn't it? Okay, let me see what I can find over here for just a minute. Ah, there's another one. It's still really firm. It is cracking, so it probably won't be long before it starts coming up too. So they can be polyembryonic, they can be monoembryonic, but they're always recalcitrant. So if you can, try to plant your seeds as soon as possible. If you can't get out to plant your seeds right away, you can always wrap them in a damp paper towel and try to keep it a little damp so they don't dry completely out. That's it. All right, I'm going to go and put my pots in a nice warm place, and we'll see what happens. Come back and join me, folks. And until then, have a fantastic day.